I just noticed this as soon as I pulled up the video. The same person who made this video, The Harsh Truth About NFS Hot Pursuit, he uploaded this here as well. A legendary game that redefined racing. We'll first react to this one. This guy, it seems like he got quite a bit of backlash when he made this original video. But anyways, I haven't watched it before, so I'm going in with clean sunglasses. Alright, no more stalling required. Let's see what this guy is all about.
What makes a racing game good? Or a better question could be, what makes a racing game stand out from the rest?
Gameplay, car selection, whether or not it's set in a real life or fictional setting.
On the surface, making a game about driving cars fast sounds simple, right? All you need is the road and cars that the player can interact with.
That is not true. Part of a racing game, again, as I mentioned in the essentials part, gameplay. It needs to be varied.
One of the earliest examples of racing games is Grand Track 10, made by Atari.
Hopefully that didn't blast your ears out like it did for me.
View of a car navigating a track. The hardware limitations meant graphics were very basic and gameplay was rudimentary.
Well then again, this is an Atari 2600 game basically, so again, it's expected to be primitive.
Another iconic title was Night Driver 1976, one of the first games to simulate first-person perspective driving. The graphics were simple, with white rectangles representing
That game looks hard right there. Imagine having to play Forza, but you could not leave those lines. That'd be basically impossible. Also, just looking at the feedback loop, if you're highly sensitive to epilepsy or whatever, you'd probably have a seizure seeing that flashing light there.
Monochrome with minimum details. Physics and
see? Right there. That's an epileptic seizure waiting to happen.
These games worked and were loved because they were made in an era with limited computational power. Car behavior were basically often made using simple calculations to simulate speed and running, basically ones and zeros, like it always is. Now this isn't the evolution of racing games or the death of gay racing games. No, this video is about Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010 and how much it sucks at what it tries to be.
Why does it suck?
Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010 is a reboot of one of the most iconic sub-series in the Need for Speed franchise.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the only sub-series that Need for Speed ever really did was Hot Pursuit and Underground.
Mainly inspired by these three games, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, Burnout Revenge, and Need for Speed 3. Hot Pursuit was going to be developed by Criterion Games, the studio behind the Burnout series. Now already there's a problem here.
I'm not following. How is that a problem?
I feel like Criterion should have never got the right to make a Need for Speed game because they didn't know how to make a Need for Speed game. What they knew to make was Burnout, which was pretty clear in all the games they made. Hot Pursuit felt like a mixture of Paradise City and Burnout Revenge. Most Wanted 2012 was basically Paradise City 2.0, while Rivals was the final build of Hot Pursuit. The one they released in 2010 was like the beta version.
I'm sorry, was that a bad thing really? I'm guessing the whole crash out system was brought in from the Burnout series. I mean, I get that when you crash out in Hot Pursuit, it's a little bit of a pain. But come on, if you're crashing out too many times, it sounds like a skill issue, bruh.
So, the major difference now was that they were working with licensed cars, which means they had to tone down the car crashes, since car licensing issues with companies, stuff like that.
Ferrari.
I really wanted to talk about Black Box 2 and how EA really did them dirty, but that's a story for another day. But Black Box had already set the pace of what the Need for Speed franchise was supposed to be about. I mean, they put Need for Speed on the map, but EA began releasing Need for Speed games annually straining Black Box's resources and creativity, the studio struggled to be innovative. They really didn't struggle to be innovative. The tight deadlines was what was leading to mixed receptions for later titles like Pro Street and Undercover. Need for Speed The Run was supposed to be the chance to redeem themselves.
The thing is, they sort of followed Criterion's footsteps with The Run, because, well, for one, it's not really open world, which is sort of what Black Box's Need for Speeds were built on, at least to my knowledge. And two, I'm pretty sure the customization in The Run is nowhere near as in-depth as Most Wanted or Carbon or any of Black Box's previous titles. But the gameplay, from what I've seen, probably some of the most intense and fun in the series.
Time, but EA did what they do best, mess up everything. Then came Criterion. It didn't take long for the Burnout influences to become apparent, such as epic crashes.
Again, is that really a problem? If you crash out too many times, sounds like a skill issue. And plus, when you actually do crash out, or when you crash others out, makes for a hell of a spectacle.
Epic crashes that are slowed down so you can see every row.
So far, it sounds like the boys' main problem is with the crash cams. Is that really all that you have a problem with? You might as well just write off the entire supercar era of Need for Speed, if that's your reason why you hate this.
When Criterion Games, the masterminds behind the Burnout series, get their hands on a beloved franchise, well, let's just say it's a wild ride that sometimes feel like it's running on flat tires. I thought I would enjoy this game after reading all the positive Steam reviews, but boy was I in for a surprise. Since I got gaslit into playing this game by Steam reviews, I'm gonna start with everything wrong with this game. Number 1 being the pointless open world.
Okay, is it really pointless though? It's there as an option for when you just want to take a free drive. You could pretty much just, go anywhere you want to and admire the map. It also helps with getting some pretty slick photos.
Criterion Games crafted a beautiful, visually stunning map called Seacrest County, but here's the kicker: the open world is almost completely pointless. Unlike games such as Need for Speed Most Wanted or Burnout Paradise, where the open world serves as a sandbox for exploration and emergent gameplay, the world of Hot Pursuit is more like a static backdrop. Sure, you can drive around freely, but why?
Again, just so you have that free drive experience. What other game besides Hot Pursuit can you really just pull down the top of your Reventon Roadster, just cruise down some of the most beautiful scenery you could ever see in a video game, and just, chill out and drive? Back then, there was no Forza Horizon. Test Drive Unlimited, that was jank, so you probably wouldn't last long in that game anyway. This was the only way.
There are no hidden collectibles, no events to stumble upon, and no meaningful rewards for exploring.
Does there really need to be, though? Free drive is just for driving down beautiful scenery without having to have a care in the world. That's all it needs to be.
It's an empty canvas that looks beautiful but doesn't give you any reason to engage with it. They didn't even bother to add cops.
Let's be real, though. Adding cops into free drive, at least in the context of free drive and Hot Pursuit, that would completely ruin the idea behind it. Imagine you're just cruising down the road, you're admiring some beautiful scenery, and then all of a sudden, you get that Most Wanted styled, "Oh shit, there's a cop on me." Keep in mind, in free drive, you have no pursuit text, so the only way you're going to be able to deal with cops is by meleeing them. Tell me that would not be hell. Fine. Open world's been... Yeah, that's exactly right. Open world has been optional since Most Wanted. Just look at me. I've pretty much cleared most of Most Wanted, not even going into free drive. Most of the time, I just look at the map, select the event that I want to go to, fast travel there, and that's it.
Actually play the whole entire game without even engaging with the free roam. To make things even worse, I found the game had free roam while doing some research for the script, so yeah, I didn't even know why it exists. Rivals, it was a bit better. It was better in Rivals.
Well, I mean, Rivals, basically, it meshes Hot Pursuit and Most Wanted together. But that brings in the major problem. Those free roam cop chases. When you don't want to get into a cop chase, and yet you just so happen to go right by a police car, there's no escape unless you know, at least in that game, you have your pursuit tech available to you. But when you don't want to get into those cop chases, you don't have any options. All you could do is just use your pursuit tech and run.
Rapid responses. Here's a head scratcher. In a game all about speed, why on earth are you penalized for crashing during time trials?
Okay, I kind of agree with this. Rapid responses, both in Hot Pursuit and Rivals, they suck. Most of the terrain in this game is hilly. So, if there's a traffic car on the other side of that hill, you just so happen to go over the hill, and then out the other end is a car that you could not avoid, and you crash into it. Well done, your perfect run's ruined. But every other point so far, just revolving around the whole crashing nonsense and the map just being not made for an open world. Hard disagree.
The traffic placement in this game seems designed to make you pull your hair out.
You inevitably lose time just by crashing into the traffic. But then you lose even more just by, you get time penalties for it. Is it a deal killer for the game in general? For a whole package? I don't think so.
One of the biggest disappointments in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010 is the absolute absence of car customizations.
I won't disagree with that. Given that Hot Pursuit is sort of supposed to be like a return to form the series originally was back in like the classics era, but it's not a killing blow for the game. If you look at the modern Need for Speed, the games that were made by Ghost Games and, of course, Unbound, yeah, all the customization is there, but the gameplay, I've seen a lot of reviews criticizing the gameplay for its lack of variety. You gotta give Criterion a little bit of slack because, they're doing work on a game that they've never done before, and yet they pulled it off, despite, the lack of customization, having to ditch features that would have been a Need for Speed otherwise, but that doesn't make the game any less fun.
Basically removed a bunch of features that made people love this series. They wanted cars to be aspirational, beautiful high-end dream machines straight out of a showroom or a billionaire's driveway. The idea was to put the player behind the wheel of a Bugatti Veyron, a Lamborghini Murcielago, the Sesto Elemento, a Zonda, exactly as they appear in real life. And sure, that sounds great in theory until you realize just how much customization brought personality to the series.
Herein lies another point that I personally disagree with. You see, these hypercars like the Bugatti Veyron, the Pagani Zonda, they don't really have tuning scenes in real life. And let's be real, if you spend $1 million plus on just a car itself, you wouldn't want to do anything to it. It might end up devaluing the car. If I had the option between a Mansory Veyron and a regular Veyron, I'm taking the regular Veyron every time. And plus, it kind of helps to, in my opinion, to not let the player make ricer monstrosities sometimes. Hot take, I know. But, I wouldn't want them defiling these cars. Hey guys, post-stream Exodus here. I wanted to add this into the video, but this guy completely missed the point of this car list. You're not supposed to customize it. You start off looking good and going fast, and you end off going insanely fast and looking insanely good while doing it. You don't need to customize the car to make it look good or go fast. This is, after all, the supercar era of Need for Speed. Anyways, just wanted to add that in. Now continuing on with the rest of the video. We haven't mentioned the gameplay at all yet, except for the rapid responses, which those suck. I get it, but have you forgot the main modes of this game? You don't have that on the modern Need for Speed games, sadly.
It is how much the handling sucks, and
Okay, hard disagree with this. You're probably a black box fanboy in that, you like the most wanted physics where it's like you hit the button and you instantly start turning. But then there's no drifting capabilities unless you go into Speed Breaker. The map was made for brake to drift handling.
initiating a drift is as easy as tapping the brake or accelerator, but it's so exaggerated that it undermines the sense of control. Players spend more time sliding sideways than driving straight.
It was never meant to be an all straightaways game. This isn't a NASCAR racer.
Those the same sense they all brake to drift and take corners the same. You spend most of the time just to be honest, I was actually kind of debating this. I think you can quite literally finish this whole entire game on full throttle. You barely need to brake. You definitely can finish this game.
Wrong. If you try to grip turn through a curve, it basically won't turn. You need a brake to drift in order to make it through the corners.
Nothing but full throttle. The unskippable when our game animations were not really unskippable, but they take so long to skip. Like every race or event you do, there's always this.
And you're heading right back to your point at the beginning of the video with the crash cams. Get good, buddy.
Long ass cinematic animation. Like I just want to get to the point and do the gameplay and race and other things, like when you get promoted in cop events or most wanted level increasing. It takes so long and you cannot skip these parts.
You're sort of missing a point here again. When you rank up in this game, the game wants it to feel special. Are you telling me you just want to skip out of that satisfaction, or you don't want everyone else to feel that feeling? I'm sorry, but that's just a hard disagree.
You are forced to sit there and look for the screen for like a minute.
Okay, and now it's just a pure exaggeration right there. It does not take a minute, let alone like 30 seconds.
Maybe I exaggerated, that's like 30 seconds. Now, not everything is bad in the game. Obviously, there are going to be stuff.
And only now is when you mention it, on the last 3 minutes of the video.
This is what I think makes the game at least enjoyable for the 30 minutes you actually play it.
That's suggesting that he only played the game for like 30 minutes before he made this review.
Hot Pursuit 2010 lies in the thrill of the chase. The cat and mouse gameplay between racers and police is elevated by the sheer variety of tools at your disposal.
The weapons toolkit in Hot Pursuit, it is one of the main selling points of the game, and it's one of the best features that has ever been added into Need for Speed.
Next up, stunning visuals and atmosphere.
Literally, you bring this up at the end of the video. You could have brought it up in the section where, I don't know, you were critiquing the game's map for being open world. The beauty of this game is why there's a free roam mode.
Environments are diverse and detailed, featuring open highways, dense forest, snowy mountains, and the game also excels in its use of lighting. Nighttime chases are filled with flashing police lights and illuminated roadways look cinematic, while sunsets reflecting off slick car bodies.
So the man basically went on a rant for 3 very minor aspects of the game that really wouldn't ruin it. Let's see what the boy has to say that's great about the game.
One, I made the first video for why Need for Speed sucks. You guys never actually gave me a chance. Okay, I really got lazy at the end and decided I would work on like 3/4 of the video, and I love how the final quarter of the video is me talking about things that actually make the game playable.
A little too little too late there, buddy. You spent basically 3/4 of the video ranting about minor issues with the game. That would not be enough of a detractor to stop, the player from enjoying the game.
If you did make it to the end of the video, you will know I said I'll make a part 2, and this is the part 2 where I'm going to be talking about why Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 is actually kind of good. I don't like it, but these are the redeeming factors or quirks that make the game actually playable. Core of Hot Pursuit lies in the thrill of the chase.
I think he went over this in the last part of the video, of the last video. Also, the sense of speed in this game, probably one of the greatest, especially when you hit turbos.
Hot Pursuit remains one of the most visually appealing games in the franchise.
The beauty of Eagle Crest, those snow-capped mountains, can't really think of a game that I've played that really matches that. Well, maybe Need for Speed Rivals, but that has its own sense of beauty for it.
My top 3 of like best looking Need for Speed would be 2015.
We're trying to focus on Hot Pursuit here, not Rivals or 2015.
Beneath the adrenaline-fueled veneer lies a stark reality. You're one spiked strip away from being T-boned into a guardrail.
Risk versus reward. Something that seems to be lacking a bit in modern Need for Speeds.
Instead of calmly getting from point A to B, they say why not make this harder by outrunning an entire police department. The tools of choice, a nitrous boost that defies every single law of physics, and a jamming device that makes you feel like a Bond villain. The gameplay is,
again, that adds to the fun of the game.
Lightly, every race feels like an audition for a Michael Bay movie with like explosions everywhere and crashes. The only thing missing are machine guns. I think EA needs to make that. Why can we not mount some machine guns on these freaking cars?
That might be pushing it a little bit.
And like missiles, that would be so sick. Like you're drifting mid-corner and like freaking missile just pops from the side of your car, goes straight to the... Okay, I'm going to shut up now. Switching to the cop career flips the entire script. Now you, the hunter, decked out in a souped up Lamborghini. Who are we to argue when justice comes with gull-wing doors, am I right?
Actually, that brings up a little bit of a problem with one of the police cars in this game. And it's a technical thing. The Mercedes SLS AMG, the car that has gull-wing doors, it physically cannot have a police light bar on top of it. If it was on top of it, the gull-wing doors would not be able to open.
Playing as a cop is basically one long power trip. You're not just chasing down races, you armed with spike trips. You can call a helicopter, EMPs, and the moral high ground of I'm doing this for public safety.
Public safety as he proceeds to ram cars off a cliff. Yeah, that seems like public safety, alright.
Especially when the takedown is accompanied by a dramatic slow motion camera shot.
If you're gonna rag on about the crash cams and, being punished for your bad driving, you also sort of have to have the same viewpoint on the takedown cams, because... Oh, and also, the whole thing with Burnout. Its thing was the takedown cams. You're gonna rag on them for saying that, oh, they should have stuck to Burnout. Sure, it's a double-edged sword, because if you crash out, you're gonna see that crash cam too. It's not all sunshine and rainbows when you get a takedown cam, because during that takedown cam, control is going to be taken away from your car. You won't be able to steer or do anything.
It feels like you chasing a nitrous-fueled greased pig. When you miss a takedown by inches, you accidentally brought a Prius to a high-speed pursuit.
So if you miss that opportunity for your satisfying bust, that's on you. And I've had my moments where I've missed satisfying busts in the past. I mean, just look at the content that I used to make on this channel before I became a VTuber. Can you imagine, how many times it took for me to, get those satisfying final busts? The hell?
Most racing games that you attempt a story, the results are what I like to say cringe-worthy.
And this has happened to me a fair amount of times too.
Criterion Games looked at the storytelling flip and said, what if we just didn't do it? No characters, no rivals with revenge plots, no rise to glory arcs. You here to do one thing, race.
And I think that works with this game because, let's be real, most racing game stories nowadays are completely cringe. And also that continues with the callback to the old classic era of Need for Speed. There was no story back then. It was just, you got in a car and you raced.
And now the soundtrack.
The soundtrack in this game is an absolute banger. Of course, I can't really play it without getting the hammer of death struck upon me.
Yes, I found it. It's Benny Benassi at Fit Gary Go Cinema. I think I'm going to play it.
No, I'm not about to get DMCA'd.
Is it in my liked videos? It should be in my liked.
A little bit of advice. Do audio cuts. That way, you don't end up with unnecessary silence in your audio, and you don't end up having your fans listen to irrelevant background noise like this.
It's not in my liked videos. Okay, let me change accounts.
Alright, that's about all.